The Prime Minister continues to face harsh criticism over the vaccine program. Infighting begins between the state government and federal government over the AstraZeneca vaccine, and the Prime Minister has outlined a new deal for Australians to get out of the virus. The federal government has started to receive flack from a variety of sources with regard to the vaccination program. Shadowed Industrial Relations Minister Tony Burke has said that we cannot blame people's complacency for the pace of the Australian vaccine rollout. He said, "We are now in the second half of the year. Less than 10% of Australians are fully vaccinated. You've heard us say it before, but all these problems come back to the two jobs the Prime Minister had to do. He's in charge of a national system of quarantine and in charge of the vaccine rollout. He has bungled both and bungled them badly." Well, this is of course a ridiculous statement from the Shadow Industrial Relations Minister. All you have to do is look at the infection and death numbers throughout Australia to see that the Prime Minister and his party has done a good job with the virus. With regard to the slow vaccine rollout, you cannot force people to get the vaccines if they do not want them. Furthermore, the strict quarantine measures mean that we have seen a minimal amount of cases leak out of quarantine. Mr. Burke has also completely ignored the issue of the economy, because it is undeniable that the economic recovery has been very good, and there is some empirical data to validate my claims. Let's compare Australia's performance with the virus against the state of New York. Australia has a population of 25 million, while New York has a population of 20 million. At the moment, Australia has had 30,734 coronavirus cases, with 910 deaths. On the other hand, New York, with a smaller population, has had 2.11 million cases and 53,109 deaths. That blows Australia's case and death numbers out of the water. I will say this isn't an entirely fair comparison, as Australia has never had many coronavirus cases to begin with. But in saying this, the low number of cases has to do with the Prime Minister's swift decision to shut Australia's borders last year. But even when cases have appeared in Australia, they have never blown up here like they have in New York. This is a testament to the performance of the Australian Liberal Party in reaction to the virus. With regard to the economy, Australia's GDP grew by a higher than expected 1.8% in the first quarter of 2021, and the economy is now 1.1% larger than at the start of the pandemic. The OECD has even shown that Australia's economic growth is amongst the best in the world following the pandemic. It has also been reported by Sky News that infectious diseases paediatrician Professor Robert Booey says that we need to double and redouble our vaccination rates to reach vaccine targets. Booey said, "We're going in the right direction, but 750,000 doses per week in Australia is not going to cut it by Christmas." He said that 1.5 million doses administered a week would get us close to the target, but Australia will need to deliver 3 million doses a week at peak times. So that is quadruple what we are currently delivering. He said that New South Wales has recorded the most vaccinations it ever has, and other states are recording their peaks as well. But their peaks are not good enough. We will have to double and redouble. Now, this is easier said than done, because there is no real path to quadruple our vaccination numbers at the moment. With the current outbreaks, we are seeing numbers rise, but they are still nowhere near what Dr. Booey has said we need to achieve. It is very unlikely that numbers will rise to that extent anytime soon, especially if people simply do not want the vaccine, as many do not now. Independent Senator Jackie Lambie has also said the vaccine rollout is a mess because the Prime Minister has failed to get the message out. Well, I'm really not sure what message the Senator is referring to. Surely she cannot be insinuating that the Australian public don't realise there is a vaccine. People are simply not getting the vaccine because they don't want to get the vaccine. Regardless, the Senator says he is the leader and he has failed to get the message out there. She said this is absolutely disgusting. It's an absolute failure on the government, and quite frankly, next year, next election, people throw them out. And this ending part of the quote shows Senator Lambie's true motivations. It all ties back to the struggle for power, which is demonstrated by all politicians. She is clearly playing a political game, and her only goal is to ensure that the Liberal Party is not re-elected come the next election. It is a shame that our politicians are playing a political game with the virus, instead of trying to do what is best for the Australian people. But there is not much else they can do. They're in this game for power, and when the current party is doing a good job, the opposition have to manufacture some sort of issue in order to stay relevant and in the spotlight. Speaking of someone trying to stay in the spotlight, former Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull has described Australia's COVID-19 vaccination program as a phenomenal failure in the public administration. This is reported by ABC News. Mr. Turnbull said that it was inexcusable that the federal government had not purchased more vaccine doses, arguing Australia was way behind where it needed to be. I can't think of a bigger black and white failure of public administration than this, he told the ABC. While the Prime Minister did address this indirectly during a speech following the National Cabinet meeting on Friday, he likened low vaccination numbers to being prisoners of our own success. This analogy by the Prime Minister has a twofold meaning. First of all, it relates to concerns with potential side effects of the vaccine, coupled with Australia's few number of cases. This means that for many people, including young people and healthy people, the current potential costs of the vaccine outweigh the benefits. Obviously, if people view the vaccine this way, then they are not going to get vaccinated. And this is a central trend which answers the other questions raised earlier in the video. The second thing it relates to is an admission by the Finance Minister, Simon Birmingham. He said that Australia is currently at the back of the queue for Pfizer vaccines. And he noted that we have not received as much supply as we hoped, because European countries and drug companies have favoured those nations who've had high rates of COVID for the delivery of the vaccines. He said that this has put countries like Australia at the back of the queue in terms of receipt of some of those vaccines. Now, this is obviously a problem going forward, but there is not much the Australian government can do about it if the suppliers are simply not giving us the vaccines. But it is important to note that given the vaccination rates are low anyway, this has not greatly implicated Australia's vaccine distribution thus far, and hence this criticism is majorly null and void. Meanwhile, in an attempt to boost vaccination rates, we have seen the Prime Minister advise Australians under 40 to receive the AstraZeneca vaccine. This in itself has caused a lot of tumult, with different states and medical practitioners reacting in different ways. As reported by Sky News, former Labor Senator for Victoria under the Rudd and Gillard governments, Stephen Conroy, says that by doing this, the Prime Minister was making a desperate attempt to cover up the incompetence of this vaccine rollout. The former senator said, "So the Prime Minister, in his desperation to try and say the rollout is picking up speed, and to hide the fact that he's got no Pfizer to give people, is now actually recommending to people under the age of 40 that they should get the shot. This man will do and say anything now to cover up the incompetence of this vaccine rollout." It really just seems that whatever the Prime Minister does, he always receives harsh criticism from his opponents. Remember that back when it was first announced that Australia would prioritise Pfizer over AstraZeneca for people under 50, there was criticism saying that it would harm the vaccine rollout. Nonetheless, the Australian Technical Advisory Group on Immunisation, the ATAGI, still says that the COVID-19 vaccine by Pfizer is preferred in adults aged under 60 years, whereas for people 60 and over, ATAGI continue to advise that the benefits of vaccination with the AstraZeneca vaccine outweigh the risks associated with it. So even though the Prime Minister's new comments disagree with his former rules, they are still in line with the ATAGI's comments, since Pfizer is merely preferred for adults under 60 over AstraZeneca. But the big schism has come after the Queensland Chief Health Officer, Dr. Jeanette Young, expressed concern that this advice from the Prime Minister could put the health of younger people in danger. Dr. Young said, "We have had very few deaths due to COVID-19 in Australia in people under the age of 50. And wouldn't it be terrible that our first 18-year-old in Queensland who dies related to this pandemic died because of the vaccine?" She said she genuinely did not understand why Mr. Morrison had departed from the advice of the ATAGI, despite his advice still conforming with their rules. She said, "We are not in a position that I need to ask young, fit, healthy people to put their health on the line getting a vaccine that could potentially significantly harm them. I will say that there is a large amount of merit to Dr. Young's comments, in that we do need to individually assess the costs and benefits of each vaccine before we get them. And given that young people are largely unaffected by the virus, it might not necessarily be worth it for many of them to get this AstraZeneca vaccine. The Queensland Premier, Anastasia Palaszczuk, and Western Australia Premier, Mark McGowan, have sided with Dr. Young, but Finance Minister Simon Birmingham accused her and Premier Palaszczuk of helping the anti-vaxxer movement. He said that certainly the type of scaremongering we've seen coming from the Queensland Premier and the Queensland Chief Medical Officer don't help confidence. They do help anti-vaxxers, and that's why they've ought to take a calmer, more rational approach. These comments from the Senator, again, have merit, but it is undeniable that all of this infighting will further diminish confidence in the vaccines. This is an issue which should have really been discussed with the states beforehand to ensure that such a schmozzle did not occur. So therefore, the blame goes on both sides in this scenario.